Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine
What's
a light
your
on
story?
incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission? Welcome all to accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a light on incredible individuals and organizations and the work that they do. I'm your host, Josh Basil. I'm a C4-5 quadriplegic, paralyzed below my shoulders, and a power wheelchair user. I'm the community relations manager at accessiBe and a passionate disability rights advocate and trial attorney, focused on breaking down barriers to access and inclusion for people with disabilities. Today on accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, we're joined by Lara Bloom, the president and CEO of Ehlers Danlos Society. Welcome, Lara.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you on the program and would love for you to tell us a little bit more about yourself and what the Ehlers Danlos syndromes, EDS, and hypermobility syndrome disorders, HSD. Tell us a little bit more about those.
Absolutely. So my name's Lara. I'm based just outside London in the UK, and I've been working in the chronic, rare and invisible disease space for about 14 years now. I've had the privilege to be the CEO of the Ehlers Danlos Society since we launched in 2016. And before that, I was the CEO of EDS UK, the UK organisation. And Ehlers Danlos syndromes are a genetic connective tissue family. There's 14 different types currently of EDS, and all but one of them we know what the pathogenic variant is, what the genetic cause is. And most of those, in fact, all of those fall under the kind of ultra rare family. And then the hypermobile type, which is the type I live with, does not yet have a known pathogenic variant, although there's very exciting research going on as we speak that I think will change that imminently. And it's thought to be more common. We don't yet know what the prevalence is, but we certainly think it's more mis and underdiagnosed than ultra rare. And then hypermobility spectrum disorders are also impacting the connective tissue in very similar ways, and we don't know the genetic reasonings behind those either at the moment. So that's a little bit about the conditions. They impact people in a very multi-systemic manner. So it's a vast spectrum that each person will experience, but it really is because it's connective tissue from the head to the toe. And you can have people living with EDS that are Olympians and athletes and gymnasts and ballerinas, CEOs, everything in between. And you can have people that, are in bed, in wheelchairs, unable to move much. So it really is, like I said, a vast spectrum. And at the Society, we focus on care, which represents care, access, research, and education. And that's really at the forefront of what we're doing, trying to move the needle, improve people's quality of life, and get to a point where geography and wealth do not determine your quality of life.
Lara, you are a great teacher. I learned a lot there, and thank you for breaking it down. And I would love to know what do you love most about your job, and kind of what does your day-to-day work look like?
It's a great question. I get to work with the most phenomenal people. I think that's my favorite part. The rare disease world is a small place, and everyone seems to know everybody, and that's a joy. So when you go to events, it's always the same people. And within our international consortium for EDS and HSD, we have almost 200 people now that dedicate their time and expertise for free. It astounds me still how much people show up and are willing to contribute and give to our community from the healthcare professional side of things. We have an incredible staff team. When we launched in 2016, it was me and one other person part-time. We're creeping on 35 people now in our team, and they're all over the UK and the USA, and they're just an absolute joy to work with. It's just, you're inspired every day. Our community are phenomenal, and every day I am re-inspired every morning to do what we do, to show up and to try and make those changes.
And with that inspiration, is there a memorable moment or story that has had a lasting impact on you through the society?
I mean, goodness, so many. I think, in terms of feeling our impact, seeing the research that's being done, watching the consortium come together, fragmentation being broken down, the silos being pushed away, that's been really satisfying to watch, both as someone who lives with the condition, but someone who's, working to try and change the situation as it was. Before we came along, there were 2 decades where there hadn't been a diagnostic criteria, and we changed that, and we're about to work towards a fresh publication. So moments like that make me proud of what we're doing. I think it's often heartbreaking stories that have made such an impact on me. I remember when I first got into this, I met an incredible guy called Damien, and he was in a wheelchair with his EDS, and he was in absolute tremendous pain every day, especially with his jaw. And I got really close to him, and he was so passionate about making changes. And one day I got a call from his wife, and he had taken his own life because the pain was just ended up being too much. And I just think how avoidable that was, and how there's just not good management, not good pathways. And I found, that was the first kind of loss in our community that I'd faced, and I think of him all the time. I think of many, unfortunately, that we've lost along the way, from vascular EDS that unfortunately is life limiting at times, and suicides, such avoidable deaths, such young ages. I remember a 13-year-old girl hanging herself because nobody had believed her for so long, and she was institutionalized, incorrectly. I mean, it's those stories that you just feel like that should not have been, that should not have happened. And if we only could improve things, we could avoid those happening. And that's what drives me every day.
Wow, no, that's really, it's powerful, and it's just being in those situations, especially in the rare kind of disability kind of disorders and conditions of world. It's like not knowing that the unknown of not knowing more about what it is going on with your body, or it took
Yeah.
so long to then kind of put a name next to it. It's just it's that's a lot. It's a lot to take in, like what's going on.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And I mean, the average time to diagnosis with EDS is 10 to 12 years. So that's a long diagnostic
Yeah.
odyssey to be on. And for that, that decade or more to be told it's in your head and to be not believed, and it makes a real impact. And you're physically unwell enough, but then to have that added component that really starts affecting your mental health is really so unnecessary.
And what is something about EDS or HSD that you wish the world just knew more about?
That it's not benign, that it is a multi-systemic condition that must be taken seriously, that, with the right management, with early diagnosis, can be managed well, and people living with it can have a good quality of life. But right now, the system that we have, the healthcare systems we have around the world, are not serving this community appropriately at all.
And are there any misconceptions about EDS and HSD that you would want to debunk?
I think, yeah, the first one, like I said, is that it's benign, that a diagnosis doesn't matter, that there's no management and cure, or there's no treatment and cure, so people shouldn't look to management, which is absolutely incorrect. That it's just people that are anxious, and depressed. Usually, women are accused of that, and just realizing it's a very physical condition that impacts people in a multitude of ways, and can be life limiting, can be life impacting, and needs to be taken seriously.
And when you hear the word accessibility, what does that word mean to you?
To me, it's a bridge between what's out there and what you need. You want life to be accessible to you, whether that's resources, information, joy, relationships, education, workplaces, going out for dinner, going on a plane, going on a train, on a bus, in a car. It's everything. And it's getting better, the world we live in. But still, in London, for example, in the London Underground, there's still so many stations that only have stairs. And I don't use a wheelchair. I have at times in the past, many years ago, but I have a 1-year-old daughter who has a stroller, a pram, and I really struggle to carry that up huge flights of stairs, and there's just no elevator, and it makes it very inaccessible. And I'm just thinking, it's 2024. How is this not being sorted out? It just blows my mind. And I think about someone who would be a wheelchair user, how much of London isn't accessible to them on the underground. That's just one tiny example, but
It's a powerful example,
yeah.
and it's when you don't have accessibility, the world becomes a little bit more dangerous because put yourself in positions where you shouldn't have to be carrying that up, the
Yeah.
stroller up a flight of stairs. That's
Yeah.
not it's not safe.
No.
Um,
And the amount of people that walk past you and don't offer to help also blows my mind.
and I love with your answer with accessibility. You said creating bridges, and like it's just everybody kind of can take their own unique bridge to accessibility and have their own unique experience, their own unique usability. I think that was a really creative way that you answered that question. So thank you.
Thank you.
And what advice would you give to businesses that were wanting to become a little bit more accessible?
Get people in the door with lived experience to help you work out how best to do that. If you do that, you'll get it right from the start. Don't assume to know.
I love that answer as well. Lived experience goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Those are the experts, and they're
Exactly.
there. They want to come in. They want to be invited in. They just
Exactly.
need that seat at the table.
Equal voice, equal stakeholders.
Awesome. And as internet use increases around globally around the world, what are some things you would like to see happen online?
I'd like it to be a kinder space, honestly. There's still so much trolling, even amongst your own community. And I get it. People are at home, they're tired, they're in pain, they're frustrated, they're often imprisoned in their own home because of a lack of accessibility. But that doesn't make it okay to not be kind and not be mindful and thoughtful. And I think if everyone just did that, I'd be a lot happier online. I've come off of Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, because it's just such a hostile place. I just don't want to be part of it. And it's a shame because, in between the noise and the chaos, there's some good resources out there. But I think that online space is a scary space. And especially, as I said, as a parent, it petrifies me.
If we having healthy conversations, healthy spaces, kind conversations, not everybody has to agree with everybody, but if we could come
Exactly.
together on what we can agree upon, there's always something we can agree upon. I hope at least, and be able to at least have a focus of doing good and trying to do good together. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And what do you wish brands and businesses did more around accessibility and inclusion?
I think to be honest, I go back to the same answer because if you consulted with people with lived experience, I think you'd get it right. I think that I'm seeing a lot more inclusivity when it comes to brands and advertising. There's still an element that sometimes feels tokenistic, and I think that by getting the lived experience in as consultants from the beginning versus tick boxes at the end, you would avoid that.
Again, I agree. That's awesome. Well, Lara, I just cannot thank you enough for being our guest today on accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions. And thank you for all that you do and teaching the world more. And just again, thank you for being here today with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great to connect.
Thank you. And for all of our guests, thank you again for staying to the end of accessiBe Spotlight Sessions. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow us at accessiBe_community. And as always, thank you for being on this journey. And we'll see you again soon. Bye, Lara.
Bye bye.